Dumb Sports Show Arena. Today's guest, at guard, standing at 6'6", from the Grab the Sticks podcast and twitch.tv/Afro Cyborg. It's Joe Wilson.
I will say, when I saw it, I was like, "Oh wow, that is awesome." Granted, it wasn't just because the song that I chose,
right?
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
But when I originally was looking into like what song should I pick, should I go super nerdy or should I go like a super obscure or anything like that? Part of me was like, I should probably put like Last Surprise or that's way too nerdy, or maybe like Giorno's theme from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, because I just finished part 5 a couple of days ago. But I was like, nah, that's too much. So I just went back to like one of the games on one of the 2K, one of the songs from
2K,
like, 2K12 that I played that I really liked. So I was like, screw it. I listen to that one every once in a while just as a pick me up. Why not?
Better days for 2K too.
Yeah,
back then.
That is true.
Although we did talk about how much we still play these terrible sports games. Let's start there. So that's the start of the show. Welcome, Joe. Welcome everybody to my Dumb Sports podcast. We both have, just judging by your PlayStation Wrapped and from what we've talked about, we have an addiction to terrible sports games.
Yes.
And personally, for me, my defense has always been, I love the sport. So the game itself, within the game, I enjoy that part, and that part's fun. But every year, as fans, we critique everything built around it. Yeah,
that is true. Every year I buy NBA 2K because I love basketball. Basketball is my favorite sport.
I like going the dribble up and down the court. This is now 2. There's only 3 episodes of the show. 2 out of the 3 we've now sung that song. So hopefully,
hey, it's a great song.
It is a great song.
Shout out to Curtis Blow.
Exactly. If you're listening out there.
But I buy 2K every year, even though they have terrible microtransactions to where, like, hey, in order for you to get good at this game, you're gonna have to spend $100, $200, maybe even $500 into the game on just virtual currency.
1, 2, or 500. That's always how they do it too. They're like, you can give us $1 and we'll give you like 10 virtual currency, and that'll buy you nothing. That'll buy you new shoelaces.
Yeah, and then there was that one year. I think it was 2K18.
The one with Kyrie on the cover.
Yeah, the first one that they had the
town
neighborhood. Yeah. And where in order to change your haircut, you had to pay money for it. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Like, it should be free. And then they rectify it.
Yeah.
In the future games by like making fun of it.
Right, but it's like you still did that, and now too they still like. You have to pay, or you have to get to a certain level to get like different hair color too. Like that's gatekeep too. It's like you can, if you want a fun hair color, like you can. You have to play this amount of time and pay us this money.
Like I mean, I play the game either way, but it's like I stay as clear away from the park or online in general because it's like it's not fun. You have all these 7-8 dudes who are just with handles of a point guard and can shoot the lights out, but they're also like blocking every shot that you put up. It's like, this isn't fun. So I just stick to my career, or every once in a while I'll jump into like my league.
My league. That's my addiction, is my league, which is why I always hate myself when I spend money on my career, because I'm like, you prefer my league. What are you doing? You're just spending money. You're going to play like 10 hours of my career, and then you're just going to play my league for the rest of the time.
Yeah, I think the last time that I got like super into my league was whenever it was that RPG kind of my GM my GM that they did. Like one year you're taking over a team, and then the following year it's a sequel, but you're creating your own team.
Yeah, you can do an expansion.
I sunk so many hours into that because like I want to get this. One, I want to get my team to be a contender, but also like I want to get the actual good choices throughout this RPG. Because
you can literally get fired in that one. Like, it's not like the fake like GM mode like in Madden or anything. Like, you can make decisions that piss people off.
Yeah, that again, I sunk a whole lot of hours into it. It's probably why it's one of my most played games on PlayStation, period.
Yeah.
Because with PS5, I was able to like see like it tracks like all the games that you, or the hours that you put into games. And like 2K19, I think it was like 400 hours or something like that. Like,
You're like, own.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
But like it's such a great game. Plus, I love playing my career. It's the best.
It's so fun. And even like the funny thing is the stories and everything are never like great. Like it's almost like a CW show level of quality where you enjoy it. Like there's you're watching it, you're not skipping anything, but after every cutscene you're like, that was horrible.
Yeah.
And it just makes me wonder how like production works over there, where 2K has all these resources, but the team that's doing NBA 2K can't get cutscenes like nearly the level of, like Red Dead or Borderlands or any other 2K game.
Yeah, it's weird, but all they really have to worry about is just perfect the basketball portion of the game. Everything else is just a cherry on top. Like, I don't know if there was any story that actually like was decent. Well, they were decent enough.
What did you think about the one that comes to mind is the Spike Lee one?
That was exactly the one.
This is where you're going.
Like, it was fine,
right?
But it was just like, why is this here?
Yeah, he took it like way too seriously. Like,
he did.
The best friend like dies at the end, right? It's like, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, I respect Spike Lee, but bro, you gotta go that far,
right?
This is 2K, man. We're just here to have fun.
We're having a good time. You're making me cry.
I know.
And then there's always the weird point where they run out of story stuff, and then you're just playing regular basketball games, which I enjoy and love that part too. But it would be weird in that year where after your friend dies, and they would just you're just playing normal My Career, and then they would pop up with a halftime interview with your character, and you're just like, yeah, my friend died. It's really sad, but real focused on the season. And you just think, like, I don't think Spike Lee wrote that part.
No, he probably just wrote I think in general, they just write the first season, and then whatever you guys do after that, you're probably going to be done with the game after that.
Have you ever retired? Like, have you ever made it to basically the end of My Career in any of the game? No.
Nope. I would at least do 2 seasons.
Yeah.
That's about it. Like, I think, which one was it? I want to say 2K17 is when I got to at least like year 3. But it was just, I've never actually gotten to the point where like, okay, I've played out an entire career, end it, we're good. Because
that's a wrap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, like, I'd be so curious to see the percentage of players who do that, because I've never met anybody who do. Like, I'll always just look up, if I'm interested, I look up the cutscene of the retirement speech.
Shout out to YouTube.
Exactly. Shout out to YouTube. I got close in last year. Last year would have been 2K20. Or yeah. And I had, my player was like a center who was like all like defense. So if I simmed games, my offensive stats would be horrible.
Yeah,
so
sounds about right.
So yeah, I think I finished 2 seasons. I was in the playoffs for the last season, and I think like I only needed like 2 awards to get into the Hall of Fame. But that last series broke me. The last playoff series, I was just sitting there thinking, why are you still playing this game? 2K21 is out. You're still playing this game because you want this fake scene for your fake basketball player. Sometimes that game's real bad for your mental health.
Oh yes, there were. I think with last year's game as well. I was on the. I was right around playoffs, like probably the last month, and I was already at like 1,000 assists because I always make a point guard because point guard's pretty much the quarterback in the entire
right. You're gonna call for the ball every time. Otherwise, exactly. I found that to be true, and it's annoying.
Yeah, it's like I want to be able to, because getting buckets is fine. Having other people get buckets is even better.
Yeah.
But I think I was like hitting 1,000 assists, and I had like 13 games left in order to get to John Stockton's record, which I forget exactly what it was. And I was trying to write out, okay, if I have 13 games, if I average 20 assists through these last games, I could probably get one over. And it was just, I can't do this. Granted, I got my PS5. And I bought 2K21. I was like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yes, I'm out of here.
2K20. It was fun. Had 200 hours worth of content with you guys. I'm out. And
you're better off for it.
Yeah, totally.
Well, let's get into some of your teams, Joe. I, of course, know you as a big Raiders fan. I'd say the biggest, kind of funny, best friend Raiders fan in the world.
I think so. I don't know a whole lot of kind of funny fans who are Raider fans.
Yeah.
But if you're out there, hey, we exist.
Joe is your leader. No, you're...
No.
You'll see.
Maybe. I love my team.
Yeah.
Since I started knowing what sports ball in general was, the Raiders just were like, I gravitated towards. Also the fact that, my dad's a big Raider fan.
Yeah.
I grew up in Southern California, so like it was basically Raider country. But yeah, like all I know from this team is pain. In the 28 years that I've been alive, they've had like maybe 3 winning seasons. One of them was pretty much a fluke.
Right.
With the 2016 season.
Yeah.
And this is me becoming as a diehard Raider fan. We should not have won a lot of those games. And the fact that we did was wild.
Like the modern Raiders seem like they overperform. They seem like a bad team that overperforms, and then they let you down when they don't.
Yeah, you could say that for the past 2 years, where they start out strong. They're like end up beating like
they were the first team to beat the Chiefs last year, right? Or
yes.
One of them.
Yeah, they beat the Chiefs this past season. Like up until like the entire at peak Patrick Mahomes. They beat them. And they start off the season like 6-2, and they're doing great. It's getting I finally have hope, which is something that I don't normally have with this team. But something happened where second year right after the
bye, after the bye, or just the second half of the year?
Right after the second game against the Chiefs where they lost, it just took a nosedive.
Right.
Where they lose to the Falcons. They get their asses whipped by the Falcons.
Just came out of nowhere, too.
That one. I'm so glad I didn't watch the game because I know I would have broke something. Or they lose on prime time against the Dolphins.
Dolphins, yep. I watched that game.
They lose to the Colts. They lose to, and yeah, the entire time I'm like, oh no, why? Why? We were doing so well, but our defense can't stop anybody.
Yeah.
So
you're making a really strong argument for me wanting to be a Raiders fan.
Yes. If you enjoy misery, then come on over. But yeah, like we had a top 10 offense. We could score on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They could score on the Chiefs, and nobody scores on the Chiefs. Anyway, but yeah, like I'm hoping that with the new defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, we get as long as it's like middle of the road.
Right. That's all you need. Like teams are proving that you don't need like the best defense in the world anymore. You can have a middle of the road one. Do you think Derek Carr is sticking around? Because I know that there's been like rumors about. Well, this offseason seems like there's rumors about every single quarterback leaving.
Well, the thing about I don't understand why, but over the past few years there have been this hatred, I guess, within Raider fans who don't like Derek Carr, which is like, why? He's like the best quarterback we've had since
in history, like statistically,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got all of the Raider records in terms of like passing yards, touchdowns. Why would you get rid of somebody like that? Like he's the best quarterback we've had since Rich Gannon, and he had an MVP year. Took the Raiders to a Super Bowl. But yeah, like people just want him gone because he hasn't taken them to the playoffs, which. I mean, there's only so much you can do as a quarterback, but then again, everybody wants to pile on anything bad to the quarterback. So
just attach all the blame to him.
But like in the past 3 years, he's had 4,000-yard seasons. He's had at least like around 70% completion percentage, 20 plus touchdowns each year. He only threw 9 picks this year, so it's like. It was a top 10 offense this year. Like he's not the problem.
And on top of that, he's only had Darren Waller for 2 years. He was supposed to have Antonio Brown. He's never had like a receiver that's been, a true number one.
Well, he had that in the 2016 season with Crabtree and Mark Cooper.
That's right. So, So let's get into our first question. We'll skip around. Where's Adam's question? Let's see. Okay. So Adam at Adam Gumby is first off, we'll put the Khalil Mack trade on the back burner for right now. So because the whole topic as a whole is Gruden and like all the changes Gruden has made because it was before Mack that Cooper was moved, right? Or was it right after?
No, it was Mack was moved first and then it was Cooper.
Gotcha.
Like later on in the season, right before the trade deadline.
So what has been your relationship with John Gruden over as John Gruden the coach and then John Gruden the GM?
Okay. Well, when he first was head coach, I was a wee lad, so I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. I just know that we made it to the divisional round against Tom Brady and the I was about to say Buccaneers.
Tom Brady he's been with the Buccaneers for 40 years. It feels like.
I know, right? Against the Patriots, and there was the tuck rule, which was still a fumble. I don't care what anybody says, it was a fumble. And then we lose that, and then they trade him to the Raiders ended up trading Gruden and other stuff. I forget exactly what to the Buccaneers,
right?
And then they end up winning the Super Bowl against us. So part of it's like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, this guy's back. No, I don't want him back.
Yeah. So when Mark Davis ended up hiring him again, I'm like, okay, he hasn't been in the league for like 10 years. Why would you pick this guy up? Like, granted, I like watching Gruden during Monday Night Football.
Right.
He knows the game.
Yeah, he's a great personality for that kind of thing.
Exactly. Plus, it's like, other Raider fans love him. I'm like, yeah, he's cool, but like, he's been away from the game. Like,
right.
And then you get the news that, it's a 10-year deal.
Yeah.
For $100 million. It's like,
right. And I think
pay him that much.
And part of it is in stock of the team, I think.
I think so. Which,
yeah.
I mean, the one thing is he's got job security. So
yeah,
if he's gonna be able to build the team the way he wants.
Yeah, he's got time. He's got plenty of time to do it.
Yeah. So the first year when he was doing the whole, we're gonna keep Khalil Mack and everything,
You're right,
and re-sign him, and then they traded him. I was heartbroken because Khalil Mack I still think he is a top 5 defensive player, but he was one of the cornerstones for a team. He's a generational talent. You do not trade pieces like that.
Right. He's like make the whole defense better, make the whole pass rush better.
Exactly. And then he says later on, probably like a month or so, we need a better pass rush. Like, motherfucker, you just traded a fucking great
You're like, hey, you should
pass rusher. Like, what the fuck?
You should trade for this guy Khalil Mack.
He's a pretty good player, I think. And then later on in the year, they trade Amari Cooper, but it's like, wow, fine, whatever. And then you see him flourish a little bit in Dallas, and Mack goes off and has a Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So part of it's like, man, this sucks. You could have had these guys. Granted, they probably didn't want to be there, so it was like, fine, fuck y'all. So I'm able to like get angry for like a week and then okay, whatever.
Yeah, moving on right after.
Which is how I was with Antonio Brown when he got there, and then that whole saga went through, and I was like, you know what? I'm angry as shit right now. Okay, the next day he came back. I'm like, all right, fine, fuck him, whatever. But in terms of like how I felt about the Mac trade, I'm butthurt. I'm still angry about it, but we have Josh Jacobs,
right?
So it's okay. We have and I'm salty as shit because he should have won offensive player rookie
of the year his first year.
Because I like Kyler Murray. He did not have a better year
than Josh Jacobs. Yeah, it's all the awards are just so quarterback friendly too.
Yeah. It's a quarterback driven league.
Exactly. And then I know he had a bad first year, but Cleveland Ferrell, his second year wasn't too great either, right? I think he was a little bit better against run defense, but he's not at all the number 4 pick that they drafted him to be.
Yeah. I think they did reach a little bit for him, but because again, I'm obsessed with the Raiders. I watch a lot of like behind the scenes stuff as well. So like they'll do like as they're calling the players for their draft, who they're drafting. Mike Mayock, their not the offensive coordinator, their general manager, calls him up and was basically saying that he's going to be a foundation piece for like building a culture, like of guys who love football first and foremost and want to do what's best for the team. I'm like, okay. I trust Mike Mayock because he was on the NFL Network for several years.
Right. Being the scouting guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So having him as the general manager, he can scout all these great players and he doesn't have to report to anybody else but the people in the team. So I'm like, this kind of makes sense. So, but yeah, his first year he was he was mid.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you want your 4th overall pick to have a better year.
Yeah, because I remember he was drafted ahead of like Montez Sweat, I think was one of the big ones that people were upset about.
I think Josh Allen was one.
I think he didn't go ahead of Josh Allen, did he?
I think he did. The linebacker, not
exactly.
Not the quarterback.
Yeah. Which I don't know how his second year was, but yeah, I remember Josh Allen was a big deal going into the draft too.
But yeah, it was like, you could have probably got, you know, a more flashier name.
Yeah.
But going through his like second year, it was, you could see that okay, he's pretty good against the run. And then there was the game that they played against the
Chargers.
I think it was either the Chargers or the Colts, where he was out, where Farrell was out because of COVID, and then it was either the Chargers or the Colts just ran all up and down against the Raiders.
Gotcha.
So you need a good run stopper, so that way you can, stop the run.
Yeah.
But I will say that in the 2019 draft, they did get a steal in Max Crosby.
That helps like balance it out. Like the one that was a little bit of a reach, and then the 4 that was an absolute steal. It just totally helped the line.
Exactly. So as long as the defensive line gets better, I'm cool. Honestly, as long as the defense in general gets better, the team should be able to perform well. And with last year's picks, I really wish that they would have used Henry Ruggs more.
Which he was hurt to start the year, right?
I think so.
Because I feel like I remember him coming on late.
Like you have a guy who runs that fast.
Yeah.
Get him the ball. Doesn't matter how.
Anyway, get creative.
Have him run jet sweeps. Have him do bubble screens. Have him run slants. Have him run go routes. Just give the man the ball, and stuff will happen. Whether it's good or bad, that's up to the football gods.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I'm hopeful that that this year there's a massive improvement to the defense or to the team in general. But I've dealt with this for my entire life.
You've been disappointed before.
So
was there ever a guy who was like coming in the off season that you were super excited for who just like totally let you down?
Antonio Brown count?
Antonio Brown definitely does count.
That was definitely one. God. And then it was on Hard Knocks the entire year.
Oh yeah, like all of the Raiders' dirty laundry is being aired out in front of everybody, and the crazy thing too is like Hard Knocks was like basically breaking news at that point, so you don't know if Antonio Brown's on your team until you tune in next week and you find out.
Yeah, so it was like, that was such a weird year. In general, like, because I knew of Hard Knocks, I didn't watch it a whole lot, but as soon as like, hey, my team's on there,
check it out for
get
sure.
a subscription, and then as soon as the season's over, cancel that shit. But like I wanted to see it because like I've always been curious about the behind the scenes stuff of that goes into an NFL team.
Yeah, and a training camp and everything.
Because like I played high school football, it's like I know a little bit of what goes on behind, like during training camp, but like seeing like professionals do it, it's like, feed it to me. I want to know.
Yeah.
Especially if it's my favorite team, like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you know the players and there's just like the interviews or the sound bites that make you love them more. Because I've been a Texans fan for a while now. And when they were on it, that was like one of my favorite moments, and like I still will watch the clip, is when DeAndre Hopkins was on this episode where they're scrimmaging against Washington, and he breaks D'Angelo Hall's ankles.
Yes, like I remember that.
It's like one of the best clips like in sports. Like just the editing that they do to it too. It's amazing.
NFL fans knows exactly what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. Did you ever, this was weird because I know like NFL Network was like very obscure for a long time. Did you ever watch like the NFL films like top 10 lists or any? You did?
Yes.
I loved those. I was addicted to those as a kid.
I was as a kid, like anytime like before I'd go to football practice or once I got home, NFL Network all the time. Just put it on. I want to know. I was obsessed with football. If you can't tell, Football is my favorite sport.
Yeah.
So
no, earlier you said basketball is your favorite.
I mean, I love basketball too. Basketball is a close number 2.
Right.
But like, yeah, anytime the NFL Network was on, I'd like sit down and watch and just obsess over like anything that they would put on. So like, I watched early Total Access. I'd watch, so like, whenever it comes to like, whatever Rich Eisen does, I'm like, I want to know exactly what the hell
what he's saying about it. Yeah.
Because like I grew up watching him. So, and then the top 10 lists of like whatever, it's like I want to learn more about the history of the NFL. So it's like, yes, give it to me. Yeah. Whatever it is.
It was so cool because it's exactly like learning the history of the NFL, because you'll just hear about, you're just watching clips of Dan Marino and all this stuff, and the editing of it too is really cool, where they do like number 10 and it'd be like all these cuts of the sideline 10 and then a jersey number 10, and then like the style was just super cool with those two, and you just learned so much.
Yeah, for sure. It was awesome.
That was a great time.
I miss early 2010 NFL Network.
Me too. I'd say, like, I kind of say ESPN too, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if you put me now back, like, in my younger kid's body where I would watch SportsCenter all the time, if I would appreciate it like I did back then, just because it would get really repetitive, and it's just, here's the same story, over and over again. They have the side ticker thing, and it's just like LeBron. Kind of like now.
Granted, come on. LeBron's playing for the marquee franchise.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. So I love it.
Again, as a Laker fan, I love the fact that we have the best player in the world.
Yes.
Even though he's 38 or something.
Right. So that's a great segue into your Lakers fandom. So what did you think when you got LeBron? Like, what was going through your head? Were you one of these Lakers fans who's like fuck LeBron, we don't want him, like we've always been better than LeBron, or were you like excited to have him?
No, I was extremely excited because like, you have arguably the best player in the NBA coming to one of the NBA's top tier franchises. Also, we've had 6 losing seasons. You got to shake things up, and the man wants to come here. Why would anybody be opposed to it? Like, I get that people have it as are terrified that it might diminish Kobe's reputation or legacy, but like, they play 2 different positions. Like, and granted, LeBron's first year was not good because they didn't make the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, it was a pretty turbulent year, and those like comparisons did come up a lot, like in a really negative way. But yeah, for the most part, it's like Kobe's still Kobe. Like, he's still gonna have his legacy. You don't have to.
He still brought 5 rings.
Yeah.
So it's like, and with LeBron's first year, one of the main reasons why it wasn't good is because he got hurt. Like, for the first time in his career.
Yeah.
So I think it was like a groin injury, and that that will screw you up. So, but yeah, like last year when they ended up, and also the year before, there was the whole dirty laundry of like, hey, the Lakers are gonna get
Anthony Davis no matter what.
And I can kind of tell, like, in watching some of the games, it's like, oh, nobody gives a shit anymore. Oh, okay, so yeah, it's like, of course it's gonna end badly.
Yeah, but exactly.
This following year, or the following year, it's like they actually get Anthony Davis. They trade damn near everybody that they have, but they get one of the best power forward in the game. It's
and at this point too, like, it's proven that this works. Like LeBron's already done this. Like, just give me the guy I want. We'll figure out the rest.
Exactly. And look what ends up happening. They win a championship. Granted, it was in a bubble because of, a global pandemic, but it's still a championship.
Right. Mickey Mouse ring, as Andy would say.
I mean, Mickey Mouse ring, but it's still a ring.
It's still to me, it is like one of the hardest fought rings in NBA history.
Exactly.
Like, you can say all you want about like the sight lines and the fans and the lack of energy, but that works for both sides. Both teams have that advantage. And the grueling mental side of, you're detached from literally everyone that you know and love except for your team.
Yeah, it's like, so like having them go through that, and also like other stuff that was happening around that time. For sure. So of course it would be like even rougher on them, especially since they only go to practice and then they come back and then they go play a game and then they're just stuck in their rooms and can't do anything. So you have to think that these guys are stressed out like crazy.
Yeah, and for sure.
As soon as that people are able to get eliminated and are able to leave the bubble, they're having that big sigh of relief.
Yeah, I get to go back to normal.
I can go home.
Yeah.
I can go home. I can be with my family, and I can relax. And so, like, with the Heat and the Lakers going into that final series, you had to think that these guys were literally on the break.
Yeah.
On the brink of breaking. So it's like, they earned
it. Yeah,
they
for sure. For sure. So being how far back does being a Lakers fan go? It's like all the way, same as Raiders?
Yeah, pretty much. One of the like first things that I for sure remember about when my Laker fanhood ended up starting was probably around 2000, either 99 or 2000. It's basically when they first won the first part of their three-peat at the turn of the millennium. Like, I knew Shaq and Kobe were the dynamic duo. Nobody could stop them, and they proved it. Winning 3 straight.
Yeah,
it's like nobody does that. The only people who do that are Bill Russell and the Celtics in the early 60s, 80s.
Right.
60s,
yeah,
70s.
A long time ago, and there's only 13 teams.
Yeah, so,
and then Jordan.
And then Jordan. So you got, pretty good company up there.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, we talked about it last week, me and Foggy, same thing, that those teams made us fall in love with basketball. They're just so much fun to watch. And so as a Lakers fan, can you rank out of these 3 eras of Laker basketball your most fun, enjoyed, most hype time? Either the Shaq and Kobe era, the 24 Kobe era, the good and the bad, and then this modern era, which is still going on, so you don't really know. Yeah. You can kind of project a little bit, but
there's also that the years that we were just garbage.
Right.
In that modern era.
Yeah, exactly. Put those in there too. That's the 4th one.
Oh God. Okay. Being absolute garbage for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Bottom
is bottom. Because whenever I go to my NBA team, I'm like, I don't want. The Lakers are always good. Why do I have to deal with this heartbreak? I get enough of that for being a Raider fan.
Exactly. The Lakers are kind of the most interesting franchise in that way, where you have teams who are eternal losers and it sucks, but the fans get it and they're miserable, and then you have franchises that all they do is win, and the fans are usually, jerks about it, or just all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's, teams like the Cowboys where they're super popular, but they never get anything right. But the Lakers are have secretly just low key been a roller coaster, where after Shaq left, those first Kobe years were terrible. And then they were great. And then the end of the Kobe years were terrible. And then Kobe's gone and they're terrible. And now they're great. You kind of see everything as a Lakers fan.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, going back to ranking them, for sure, seeing Kobe get ring 4 and 5, mostly because one, they lost to the Celtics the first time. So around then is when I actually got back into basketball, because like I think I took like a few years, like 5 years off of watching it religiously. So seeing them lose to the Celtics kind of pissed me off.
Yeah,
because Lakers and Celtics are one of the biggest rivalries in basketball.
Yeah, it was a huge like renewal of the rivalry too, because the Celtics similarly had been horrible for like a long time before that.
And they trade pretty much a king's ransom for Ray Allen and
Kevin Garnett.
And then that first year that they're together, they win a title. So, and going back and watching it and learning about, Boston hates the Lakers and the Lakers hates the Celtics, so it makes sense. So seeing that after Kobe gets his first and only MVP, and then he gets the goes to the Olympics and they get that the gold medal that year. It was like, okay, I'm back in. I love basketball. I'm ready to see what happens next. And then they win two more. Then they win two against the Magic, which
that was one of the worst series I ever watched. I remember.
I think that around that time Nike was doing the whole little ad campaign, basically saying that it's going to be the Lakers versus the Cavs. It's going to be Kobe versus LeBron. And
nobody wanted Dwight Howard and the Magic to win.
No, but that team was damn good.
They were.
That they made it to the finals for a reason.
Yeah, because that was when this is such like a weird tangent talking about Magic basketball. That's when they had like it was Hito Turkoglu and then Vince Carter was on the team. Was he on that team or was it the year around that?
I think it might have been the year after.
Gotcha.
But they had Hito Turkoglu, they had Dwight Howard,
Jameer Nelson, of course, who played point guard for the Magic for 40 years.
God, he still got buckets.
Yeah, he still does. He still does.
Rashard Lewis was there.
Oh, that's who it was. Rashard Lewis is like super underrated.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm glad he got a couple of rings with Miami.
Yeah, with the Heat
when LeBron ended up going there. But yeah, they win against the Magic, and then the following year win against the Celtics, and that was just like, oh God, hell yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
perfect revenge story.
Exactly. So for sure, and Game 7 was just
it was so hyped.
Such a defensive battle that entire game, but it was so good, so good. But yeah, that one would be with number 1. Number 2 would be Shaq and Kobe for sure, because even though I was young when I watched it, I still realized these two, nobody can stop these two.
Yeah.
Unless, and the thing is that they hated each other.
Right.
Basically.
They had to stop themselves is what happened.
So like, and they still won 3 championships. So that one would be number 2. Right now would be modern Lakers would be number 3, because we're still trying to see what the rest of this era will be.
Right.
So that's why it's like so low for me. But I mean, you got Anthony Davis, you got LeBron James, and this team is still just gelling together and can beat anybody at any time. Like, I remember a couple of days ago, they were playing, I think, the Grizzlies, and they were down like 20-3 at the end of the first quarter.
20-3. They only scored 3 in the first quarter. Or it was something
maybe like 9.
Yeah,
something like that.
Single digits. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an obscene amount of points that they scored. Then they start off the second half by scoring like 41 in the third quarter. It's like, what?
Yeah,
and then they end up winning in double overtime. So it's like, yeah, they're too good.
Yeah,
and I totally understand. Like, people are like, oh man, fuck the Lakers. They're too good. They're gonna win it again. It's like, this is bullshit.
Right.
But like,
it's not the same too. Like, I feel like the Warriors were the first to ruin everything in everybody's eyes. And I don't think we're going to get that ever again. Maybe I don't know that it could ever be that bad ever again. So
yeah, I don't think so.
So
because with the Warriors, I'm gonna be honest. Right before the Warriors were, the Warriors, I had a feeling that Steph and Clay were gonna be like some pretty good players. I didn't think that and eventually they'd make it to a finals and maybe win one.
Right.
I didn't think they'd take over the league.
Yeah, like they did.
But like, I'm so glad that I was able to call that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I would have put some receipts.
Put
on
that out there.
But,
yeah, exactly.
But it is what it is. It's still fun to see. Like, I'm glad that Steph is finally getting healthy.
Yeah.
I hope that Clay ends up, comes back and has a career year. Because, like, I know he tore his ACL and then ruptured his Achilles. So it's like, and this is the prime of his career.
They're so excited for him to come back. Yeah, it's like towards the end of the prime of his career, too. It's like,
so it's,
don't even realize
it sucks. I hope that, I hope they're able to bounce back and be healthy and be competitive, because I would like to see
that kind of competition.
That kind of competition in the West, because I mean the West is still stacked. You got Portland with Dame, and Dame
CJ
can get
McCollum.
buckets anytime. CJ's a baller. You got you got LA Clippers,
right?
Which is still weird to say that the Clippers are that good.
Yeah.
Are good, period.
Even in the Lob City days, like it never felt like they were going to go anywhere like it does now. Yeah. Like it was like, this is a fun team, but Chris Paul never wins the big game, and Blake Griffin can only like just dunk. He can't, do much else. They had Chris Paul for 6 years and never got out of the second round. Yeah.
Like, come on, man. What?
Yeah, it was never for real. Although I guess this Clippers team it's only been a year, but they didn't make it out of the second round either.
True. And then it's like, they trade all those assets for Paul George, and then they get bounced in the second round. It's like, and try to turn around and say, oh, this is not championship or bust. I'm like, you trade 3 or 4. You put your future on the line for one player. It's championship or bust.
For sure.
The same with the Nets. Like, you trade all these picks for James Harden. You have 3 ball dominant players in Brooklyn right now. Eventually, one of them's gotta be
the third guy.
Yeah, be willing to be the third guy.
Yeah. And with those personalities too, it's so hard to tell who that could be. Yeah,
I think it's gonna it's got to be Kyrie.
It does, but it's just like, does he know that? Will someone tell him that?
I hope somebody gets to his head.
Yeah. Is he still like out? Because he was like injured, and then he had the COVID thing with the party.
I know he was out, but like around that COVID and partying part. But I think he's been back recently.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't been paying close attention to the Nets since then.
Yeah, but it's like the Kyrie, just step back, I'm trying to think of a good analogy.
Like Chris Bosh, like,
exactly.
that
Chris Bosh understood this is LeBron and D Wade's team. Let them flourish. I'll get my buckets, and then we'll be fine.
Even like the weird thing is Kyrie's already been a part of this, and Kevin Love was the one who did it. Like, that's the thing that just makes me think, is Kyrie does he understand that he is clearly number 3 on this team?
And what's even crazier is like Kyrie has such a big ass ego that he didn't want to be LeBron's Robin.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you have LeBron James on your team. Whatever he says, you should do, because he will get you a championship, or at least get you to the point where you can get another championship. Because I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. The West is weird this year because you have Phoenix finally emerging, and then you have the Jazz, who are number 1 right now. Like, it's just, which, you know, nobody's gonna believe in the Jazz like come playoff time, but it is still weird to see. It is still weird to see.
Respect to Donovan Mitchell. He's a great up and coming player. Respect to Rudy Gobert, but y'all can't fuck with him.
Right. Don't even try. That is, so, like, as a miserable Hawks fan, that is like the one on the schedule that I'm like, every time I'm like, not this, because it's like, normally we're even fun to watch when we lose, but Rudy Gobert just shuts down Trae Young. Like, he's not on ball guarding him, but just his presence. Trae Young's stats playing the Jazz are horrible. I think like earlier this year he had like, I think he was like 3 for 30, and it was just awful. The Hawks lost by like 40 points. The Hawks just got their ass beat by the Spurs by like 900 points. Oh God. It's been a rough year, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. And I do want to touch on, you talked about your high school football playing days, and because we do like to share stories on this podcast of us playing sports too, because those can get really fun. That's kind of like the thing that started as the inspiration for this podcast. So you said you played high school football. Yes. That would currently make you, we're ranking our guests as athletes. This is just a thing that we made up last week. So Fogey's number 1. Fogey played college soccer. So, I mean, so that's number 1. But high school football, you're number 2. I don't think Andy played high school sports. I didn't play high school sports. So you're number 2 on the list. That's pretty good.
I'm totally fine with being number 2 because, you know, number 2 is the best, I guess. I don't know.
The first is the worst, second is the best. That's what they That's what they always say.
Yep. So exactly what the little kids say.
So talk to me about that. What position did you play? Did you play all throughout high school or just a few years?
I played from my 7th grade year to my senior year in high school. So once my family and I moved out to New Mexico, contact football wasn't a thing in California.
Yeah.
At least in middle school. So as soon as I was able to, I joined the football team. I played offensive line and defensive line.
Oh, okay.
Now
I can share some experience. I was, of course, the same thing back in the 3rd and 4th grade. So it's totally the same.
Well, the thing is, when you're an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, you have to be tall. I'm 5'7", so it did not work. Yeah. I don't know why they decided to put me on there, but you know what? I saw playing time, so it worked.
Was it like an age thing? Like in 7th grade, you were tall enough, but then you aged out? Because that's how it was for me in like every sport I played. I played center, and then I was too short to play center, so I couldn't dribble. I was a forward who couldn't dribble, and then I was an offensive lineman, and then it's like I'm going up against people who are way bigger than me, and I was like, I don't want to play football anymore.
Yeah, I think it might have been a size thing. It might have been the fact that I wasn't that fast. So, you know,
that can also be part of it. I always wonder like what goes through, like, because you see them as your coach, but in reality, it's just someone's dad. You know, maybe they know some about football, maybe they know nothing about football. It just depends on which coach you're talking to. But it always interests me how they make some of those decisions, and that's totally sounds like a thing a coach would do. Is this kid's not fast, so we'll train him how to be a lineman.
Yeah, I will say, not about me, but my younger brother. He was a damn good quarterback. Granted, he was lefty, but he was still good. But coach's son was also a quarterback, so they had him play quarterback.
That's the worst.
My brother ended up having to play tight end. So
that's the worst.
I'm still salty about that for my brother because he was good.
Yeah,
he could sling the rock. But for me, I played left tackle. I played left guard. Never played center.
Yeah,
and I think I also played right guard. Like, I think during high school I played right guard because I knew the plays, so it was like, oh, it's easy.
Right, you just
sort of
pull from this side instead of the other.
Instead of from the other side. But on the defensive side, I always played defensive end because like you're not really it's rather than having to be a defensive tackle and have to deal with the big guys in the middle. You could probably like scoot outside.
And then work your way in or something. Yeah.
So like I preferred playing defense, but because of reasons I played on offense, which sucked. But when it came to like my senior year, I played special teams, which, hey, I don't care what anybody says. Special teams will lose you a game.
Oh, for sure.
Ask the LA Chargers. Anytime that they lose or they have a great year, it's always an 8-8 season because poor special teams. Because like I think in 2010, again I have a lot of
memory. Stuck in there.
So like I think it was either 2010, 2011 season. They had the Chargers had the number one offense and the number one defense, and they missed the playoffs because of poor special teams. So
it happens. For sure.
Win and lose you games.
That was like one of Clemson's biggest problems before they became when they're right on the edge was that they were just horrible on special teams. Kickoff coverage specifically, because for whatever reason they couldn't recruit anyone who could kick the ball for a touchback. They could only get people who kicked it short. And so, the first year they were in the national championship, Alabama just took advantage of that, had a crazy onside kick that just Clemson just wasn't prepared for, and then a return for a touchdown too. So, for sure. Special teams, it's one of those things similar to kind of how defense right now in the NFL is. If you're in the middle of the road, you're good. Like special teams, if you can do the little things like enough, you're good. But they can totally lose you a game.
Yeah, there's a reason why Bill Belichick is so obsessed with special teams, because he knows that you will win or lose based on how well your special teams play will perform. Like, as if you have smart returners who know the rules of how to, like in terms of like whenever you step on the line step outside the line while grabbing the football, it's an automatic touchback or it's a 40-yard penalty. You get the ball with better field position. It's things like that. It's like
knowing all the different rules and intricacies to it too. So you played a lot of special teams. Like what? Because obviously, like me and the common person probably doesn't know the names of the different. So are you like on punts? Are you on kickoffs? Like what all are you working on?
I know my junior year I was doing more kick return and punt return, not punt and kick return. Punt and kick.
Gotcha.
I would play senior year. It was mostly return. So, the main reason I wanted to be on like kick return or kick and punt was because I wanted to hit somebody. Yeah. Like just being able to fly down the field and just throw my body at somebody and not get in trouble for it. Yeah. It was great. Let me do that.
Yeah. And I'll say I was on the wrong end of that. I'll go back to my historic 3rd and 4th grade football career where I was offensive line, defensive line. They put me on kick return one time and I was like in one of the first lines and they didn't prepare me for it. They're just like, yeah, you're great at blocking. Like go out there. I was like, I've seen this on TV tons of times. I know what to do. And they kick the ball and I just watch it and I don't move. I was just watching it, turn immediately and just get blasted. and everybody saw it and they're just like, yep, you're not doing that again. And I was like, thank you very much.
I think the only time I've ever gotten blown up was probably my junior year, but because I could think a pulling guard was coming and I wasn't paying attention. I was just like, go hit the guy with the ball. Yeah. A 6 foot, 300-pound guy is coming for me. I get hit.
Yeah. Whoops.
I'm done. But I think there was one game that I remember for sure that I ruined this kid's life at least for the night.
Like how Greg tells the Wild Aces you don't want him to ever eat solid food again.
I probably. I mean, I hope he's good.
It's different. Yeah, it's different when you're in school.
You're when you're in school and it's high school rivalries. Yeah. All bets are off. But like as an adult, I'm like, I hope I didn't ruin that kid's life. You know?
Yeah.
Because it was on a punt return against one of our rivals, Hobbs, and we were away. For some reason, their punt coverage was not that good. So like I was able to like try to, if I wanted to, I probably could have blocked the punt.
Gotcha.
But as they kick the ball off, I make my turn and try to go cover somebody and make sure that we get a first down or something.
Yeah, exactly. So
our punt returner hits the away sideline. So actually no, hits their Hobbs' sideline and is running. And there's a guy who's running to try to tackle him.
Yeah.
And I see him. He doesn't see me.
Oh, of course.
I'm running, and I make sure that I put my head on his inside.
Yeah.
So it's not a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And I just blow his ass up. Because, like, it felt so good to finally do that.
Yeah.
I think I've only gotten, like, 2 of those.
Mm-hmm.
But they called it a penalty. But they also called it a penalty on somebody else, too. So it was a lot of chaos, but it was like, I'm hyped up because I just knocked the fuck out. So, it was dope.
That's why I totally get like why so many football players are crazy people, because that feeling is such a rush. And if you get addicted to it, and if you're good enough to keep getting it, you're gonna go crazy for sure. Like you're gonna turn into a crazy person.
Oh, I guarantee I've had at least 2 or 3 concussions. I know for sure I've had 2. But yeah, if you're any person who plays football, period, has a couple of screws loose. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're in the NFL, you have a lot of screws
for
loose.
Sure.
Because you have to be crazy obsessed with this one thing to get really good at. And yeah, I know that I had a couple of screws loose. God, I still can't believe I did that. But it was fun. It was fun at the time.
It's fun. Well, let's go on to, actually, I don't want to move on from that quite yet. That was a great story. What was some of like your most hype moments? Like, was your team ever like one of the better in the state or anything like that? Or
my senior year, we ended up I think we were, in terms of like, we made it to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We were one of the 4 teams that had a bye week.
Okay.
I think we were number 4, maybe. The thing that sucks is we had our home game and then we went on the road. The team that we played for our semi-final, they ended up losing to somebody that we beat, or they beat somebody that we beat earlier in the year. So
gotcha.
Had they won, we would have played them, and then we would have probably had a better game.
Yeah, beating them again.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. So we ended up going to, I think they were Mayfield High School, and they just beat the shit out of us.
Yeah,
it was. I think it was like 45-0.
Oh and man,
that's how my high school career ended. And football career ended. Like, it was such a disappointment.
Yeah,
like, this is the last time I'm playing football.
Yeah, and it's going on like this. Yeah.
So
was there ever a team, or like could that have been a team? Did you ever look up any of the players after you played against them?
Not against Mayfield, but against I think they were either La Cueva or Las Cruces. They had like one of the like top 10 running backs in the country. And his name was Ronnie Daniels, and when we played them earlier in the year, they beat our asses.
Yeah,
like because they just could not stop us. We could not stop them for shit. So. I still blows my mind that we made it to the playoffs.
Yeah,
like how
being the number 4.
Yeah, we were dysfunctional as hell, but we ended up winning games and losing a lot. But We lost like 3 times.
That was
3.
I had a similar thing with one of my middle school basketball teams. For whatever reason, there was only 7 of us, and so everybody got to play a ton of minutes.
Yeah.
And we like nobody on the team, from what I can remember, was actually really good. There was no guy that we would just pass it to him and he could handle it. But we went undefeated through the regular season. Like we had like a mid-season tournament and we won that. And then we get to the end and we're going to the final playoff. The referees were excited to referee our game. Like we had never experienced this. And we're 12 years old or whatever, where our egos are so big because these referees are so excited to play against us. And we get blown out by this team in the first round of the playoffs. And it was just like, were we ever good? Like, what just happened? Did we deserve to be here?
Yeah, there were times where that happened. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
But and what sucks is if we would have won that game, the semifinals, we would have ended up playing the finals, the state championship game back at our house, and it snowed. So we would have been able to play.
You would have been playing in the snow,
and it breaks my heart because I would have loved to play in snow.
Did you ever get to play in snow or like any crazy conditions? All just normal.
We play. I remember my sophomore year, we played in a torrential downpour against a varsity team. They were. I think they ended up winning state championship that year. We were like JV or something. So I don't know how that ended up happening.
Right.
But it did. Playing in a torrential downpour was interesting.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of people.
It doesn't sound like fun at all.
It's fun when you're there.
Right.
When you're looking at it, it's like,
for sure.
Doing this.
Yeah.
You're just gonna get sick.
Exactly. Pneumonia for everybody. Pneumonia and concussions for everybody. You get a double.
Exactly. A double whammy.
Double whammy. Well, let's get into the rest of these questions. We had a lot of good ones. If you have any questions for our guests, you can tweet them at me at MattSbatson. If you have if you want to be on the show or have any suggestions for people to be on the show, you can do the same there. So we went through Adam's questions. Very cruel.
Very. As soon as I saw that one, it was just like, how dare you?
Yeah.
You know that's a sore subject.
You'll have to pull some dirt on the Colts for whenever I have him on. So there you go.
I will. I'll find something.
The Aces Wild podcast, Jose Ruckus. He's asking. So you're an Angels fan too.
Yes.
If Mike Trout retires tomorrow, is he already a first ballot Hall of Famer?
First ballot, no. I would say that he will eventually get in if he were to retire like right now. He's a 3-time MVP. He's got a batting average over 300. What was it? I think he's got like 300 plus home runs. He's got 7 Silver Sluggers, multiple All-Star appearances. Yes. Mike Trout, even though he plays for an absolute garbage team, and I say this as a diehard Angels fan as well. I mean, Angels are like my 4th favorite team.
Right?
Like,
exactly.
If anybody hasn't noticed, all of my teams have been or are in LA. So
yeah,
I'm a SoCal boy. But yeah, like I think Mike Trout for sure gets in. I wish that the Angels would surround him with better players or better situation. That way he can actually get to the playoffs. Yeah, and hopefully make a run for a title. But like. I don't know.
I don't keep up with baseball too much outside of the Braves, but I was really excited when Shohei Ohtani came to the league. Did he play much last year?
I think he did, but I think he was just relegated to hitting.
Gotcha. He wasn't pitching anymore because they don't want to mess with that injury. Because didn't he have Tommy John surgery?
Yeah, he had Tommy John, so I think that's probably why they just made him stick with hitting. I know that they re-signed him for a couple more years, so hopefully he can be our ace and, have a good year.
Yeah.
But baseball is like, I hope, but it's like, I don't care until like
exactly.
because that's when it gets good.
Exactly. Or like you're like, I have the Lakers right now. I don't need. Yeah, I'm not thinking about the Angels. So did sticking with the Angels for a little bit. Was that something in your family too, or did you like consciously pick the Angels? Okay.
Yes, it was mostly again 2002. That's when they won the World Series. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is my team. And also, the Disney movies. That was gonna be my next
question. Was how much do you love Angels in the Outfield?
Oh, it's probably top 20.
Yeah,
top 20. But that was just happened to be like something that I think I watched it a few times until like I realized, oh, the Angels are an actual team.
Yeah, same here.
This was I thought this was just because of the movie.
Right.
Oh, it's a real team. Okay. Yeah, totally.
Same for me with the Mighty Ducks. Like I was like, oh, this is and they had the same uniforms like back then too. It was such like it just messed with my mind whenever they changed the uniforms back and or to like the gold like D whatever it was. It might still be. I don't keep up too much with hockey, but yes, the Anaheim Ducks.
I was sort of a Ducks fan, but then I realized, oh, there's an actual LA team. They're called the LA Kings. Okay, let me go ahead and support them.
Yeah.
Again, if it's not basketball or football, I'm not as attached.
Like actively.
I will switch. Granted, when I switched to being a Kings fan, they weren't good, and then there was a run where they were really good and won 2 Stanley Cups. I remember one where they ended up pretty much every single game that they played, they were behind. So in order to win the damn thing, they were down like 3-0 for one, or down 2-0. It's like, I don't like this. I don't like being in this stressful situation.
Right, every game.
And now I'm dealing with that now as a Raider fan. It's like, oh my God, no.
You can't escape it.
No, I can't.
Let's keep going. So, Gino Viteri at Gino Viteri _ V's in the chat. We'll say it every episode. Thanks, Gino. He's asking a little bit of a curveball here. This is our segment that we call Curveball. That was never planned. I just kind of say the word curveball sometimes. How were you introduced to Kind of Funny, and do you believe that Greg is losing his mind?
I mean, Greg's lost his mind years ago. Let's be real. And how I was introduced to Kind of Funny, it is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't follow like I whenever I would look at IGN, it was just like for cheats or like walkthroughs or anything like that. So I didn't know that they had podcasts or anything. I didn't know what podcasts were.
Yeah.
So had I known like, oh, there's an entire PlayStation podcast, you should probably listen to it, I probably would have. But the way that I got introduced to it was I was watching some Up Down Down for Xavier Woods or Austin Creed, and he was doing a
was it like one of his tournaments or something?
I think it might have been a tournament, or it might have been just something that he did with Dan Reichert.
Gotcha.
I think they were playing like a Street Fighter. No, not Street Fighter.
Tekken
or something. It might
Soul
have been Tekken
Calibur. I remember. Yeah, I feel like it really could be any because they both play tons of fighting games. But I remember watching a lot of Dan Reichert and Austin Creed play Soul Calibur.
Yeah, so I ended up watching the video, and then one of the punishments was to eat a hot dog dosed in mayo.
Yeah, I remember this. Yeah,
they ended up doing it on an episode of Colin and Greg Live. So, I ended up watching this. I watched it because, like, it was on.
Yeah.
And I knew who Greg was because, he was... Anytime I'd watch for, like, E3 coverage, I'd see Greg Miller. So, I ended up doing,
His face was inescapable.
Yeah, exactly. He has a very recognizable face. He's very loud, too. So, like, I'm like, oh, I know that guy. Doesn't he work for IGN? And then like probably like a week later, I get a video saying
we left IGN.
Like, wait, why would you leave IGN?
Yeah.
That's fucking IGN. It's the biggest video game website on the planet. So I ended up going full on into Kind of Funny, and
from there, that's cool.
I've been a Kind of Funny fan since. I haven't been back in like the beginning. I wasn't that active. Only recently became active in like the past 2 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, being an introvert, it's like, you know, I don't know these
Same
people.
here.
Yeah. So like couple years ago, I just decided, you know what, let me go ahead and try to meet people.
Yeah.
Hey, it's worked out
It's worked out. It's been super cool. Yeah, I'm the exact same way. For a long time, I was just not really active in like any community at all. And it's just, eventually I was like, you know, it seems like some of these people are having fun. So I'm going to start commenting and all that.
I ended up going to PAX East a couple of years ago, just as like on a whim, because I figured, you know what, let me go ahead and do something, you know. Get out of this small ass town, and two, go to somewhere I've never been before. Happened to be halfway across the country, but
that you chose, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I had a great time and I met some dope people, and I'm like, I would totally want to go again.
Yeah.
And then I didn't go last year,
right?
And it's a good thing that I did.
Exactly.
You know, global pandemic.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, hopefully I'm able to do something else.
Yeah.
I would like to go travel to another
show for sure. Yeah, that's been like number 497 of the million things that sucks about living in a global pandemic. But yeah, I've only really been active like in the community since the pandemic, almost like since right before it. So I've gone to like 2 RTXs, and I saw them at MomoCon when they were in Atlanta the very first year, and then been to a couple Kind of Funny lives. But again, like I was just like lurker on the internet, lurker in real life too. Like I'd talk to whoever I was in line with. I'm pretty sure like I talked to like Kyle Stevenson before. Like we really like talked online. Like he totally didn't know who I was or remember my name, because I probably didn't even tell him my name. Super introverted back then. So I'm excited for the days that we can all see each other again, because that'll be exciting.
I hope that in the next, like I'm assuming that next year would be probably when they decide to do the launch party for the studio. If they do, I'm going. I don't care.
Yeah.
I will put off whatever the hell it is.
Exactly.
I will even quit my job and be like, I'm going. I don't care.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to some of the other Kind of Funny events, but I just never did it. So
there you go. You gotta come whenever we get them. Yeah. I know some events are like holding out that some things will still happen this year, but I mean, who knows, man? Like I was just checking like the rate, because it's different for every state, but I was checking like vaccine progress here in Georgia, and it's like so little, so few people have it, and so just because it's just not available.
Yeah, it sucks.
But we'll get there eventually. We'll get through this enough.
Oh, for sure.
Enough talking bad about.
Yeah.
But speaking of Kyle Stevenson, at Mr. K Step on Twitter, he's asking who is one NFL player that you think can take the Raiders to the next level. So I don't know how much you're keeping up with it, like this off season. Is there anybody in free agency that you're excited that maybe they could get, or anybody in the draft that you're excited they could maybe get?
Not the draft, because as much as I like college football, like I'm a USC Trojans fan,
right?
But I don't keep up with it as much as I probably should, mostly because USC's never like it recently hasn't been like that high profile.
Yeah,
is a way
as much
say.
as it used to be, for sure.
Yeah, like so the only player that I know for sure is like good is Trevor Lawrence. He's going number 1 to Jacksonville. Right. So good for him.
Good for you. Well, Jacksonville
well,
could have a better fate. I don't know. I'm still rooting for him, but Jacksonville's not.
Probably not a good idea.
Yeah,
but,
Urban Meyer, and
better than going to the Jets.
That's so I think the exact same thing, but like as a Deshaun Watson fan, I've totally talked myself into he can make it work. They have enough cap space. They'll get if he goes, they'll get all the good players in the offseason. But I don't know, man. It is still the Jets. No matter what, they will always be the Jets.
It's still the Jets.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of like free agency, I've been like so I've been keeping up, like hoping that, wondering like what kind of moves that they'll do. I know that they're probably going to end up cutting some of the players. Like I think they're going to get rid of Tyrell Williams because he was hurt last year, which sucks. But you know, the best ability is availability.
Exactly.
So if you're not able to make it onto the field, you're probably gonna end up getting cut.
Yeah,
which sucks. But
he only really had like the 1 year where he was healthy too.
Yeah,
right?
And he was still hurt that year too. But he had like for like the first like 6 games or so, he had a touchdown in each one. So it's like I wish he would have been able to stay healthy because you know having more dynamic players
totally
on
helps.
A top 10 offense would elevate them even more. And I'm pretty sure that they're going to get rid of Trent Brown, which really sucks because he's a giant dude who's one of the best offensive tackles out there, but he's hurt. And this whole year
so much money.
Like so much money and so much headache in terms of like him catching COVID, and then there was that scare where he got
he had like a tumor at one point, right? Or no, that's Trent Williams. That's Trent Williams.
Yeah, Trent Brown I think had air go into his vein or something to where he had to get hospitalized that day, even though it was like a couple of days after getting cleared from COVID, and I think he caught it again. So it was like he had a rough year. But I'm hoping that the Raiders end up spending a lot of money and a lot of time into building the defense up even more. And I had three people. I don't care. Hopefully they get at least one of them.
Right.
Football is won in the trenches, so you can never go wrong with a decent defensive line.
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the first ones that came off the top of my head, J.J. Watt. Because let's be real, he's one of the best defensive linemen out there.
For sure.
Now. Even though he's been on the decline, he's still great.
Oh yeah, no, he's still been dominating, even like after injury and everything too, and in his age. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what like contracts look like for him, just with his age, but still his talent level. Yeah, and he's like a total like no restrictions free agent. Yeah, be very interesting.
So hopefully, it's either him or Leonard Williams. The main reason why I remember Leonard Williams is because during that process of him going through the draft, we ended up picking Amari Cooper instead of Leonard Williams. But the one thing that I remember is that he even said that, growing up, I was a huge Raider fan. He was also a USC.
He's a USC guy. So I remember that.
So, like, come on, man. Pick this guy up. He wants to be there.
Yeah.
But also, he's damn good defensive lineman.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully, the next guy that I'm choosing, it's mostly because he's familiar with the defensive system that Gus Bradley's bringing. Richard Sherman. Now, I really I like Richard Sherman because
except as the owner of the Glacier Boys. Yeah, he sucks there, but different league, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, so like. He's one of the best corners out there. You can never go wrong with good corners. Because I mean you have a good shutdown corner. You can stop anybody. He's familiar with the system, and he's able to bring a leadership role to all the young guys that are on the team, like with Jonathan Abram and
Trayvon Mullen
and all the other guys that they have. Like having somebody who's been there and understands what it takes to win, and it being a well-respected corner like that, who's also in part of the players association.
Yeah, one of like the smartest like dudes in the NFL for sure.
Exactly. Like And I think there was a podcast that he and Gruden were on, and you could see that Gruden was throwing a little shots at there, like, "Hey, come to the Raiders,"
Yeah.
Like, so I'm hoping that we get any one of those three guys.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think that any one of them would push the rest of the defenders to want to step up.
Yeah.
Especially J.J. Watt and Richard Sherman.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. J.J. Watt was a similar thing, would be also that veteran presence guy. I like that both of my lights just like went out at the same time. It was like synchronized battery outage. This is going to be an ongoing thing. I did this last week too, where my main light right here, it was blinking at me, and you can kind of see it blink.
Yeah,
it just does that when it's about to die. And then this light just it gave up. It gave me a good one. So let me swap these out real quick, and we'll be right back. I do lighting and all this kind of stuff for a living too. Like, I'm not great at it. I'm not like the main the key gripper, the gaffer or anything. But this is my job, and I'm always worse at it than my guests.
This is what happens. You gotta get
You gotta get the LED strips.
Get the LED strip. Exactly. Get you a key light. You'll be fine.
Exactly. That's what I gotta do. All right. Let's get back to these questions. Alec Bobko had an excellent question. Going back, is this the last question? Because that'll be good. Let's see. Hold on. It looks like it is. So bookending it perfectly. We do have another segment after this. But going back to video games, he's asking, and it's at albob875. Everybody's on the edge of their seats here. I'm so bad at reading. He's asking NFL Street or NBA Street, and why?
I'd have to go NFL Street because that's the only one I played.
You've never played? Oh, okay.
I played a little bit of NBA Street, but not enough to have good
an affinity of it. Yeah, for it so many others.
NFL Street it was something that me and my brothers would play all the damn time. If we weren't playing Madden or 2K, NFL Street, because it was, again, football's my favorite sport, so I just stick with that one. So I was
thinking really long and hard about this question, because personally I consider NBA Street Volume 2 one of my favorite games of all time, and it really is it's a great game now, but it was very much a time and place thing where it captures that era of just life in general, just pop culture in general, with the fashion and with the music and everything in the NBA. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, I think NFL Street is better. NFL Street has more personality. It has... It's NBA Street's super fun, don't get me wrong, but NFL Street has more modes. It has, Crush the Carrier. It had what was the receiver one?
I don't remember.
But yeah, it was the game. I remember as kids on the playground, we call it jackpot, where it's the five kids and one quarterback, whoever catches it. And there's so many fun mini games in it. All the little things of after every single play you get a cutscene of Tiki Barber talking shit to you or something, or Brett Favre is yelling at you. It sounds nothing like Brett Favre. There's just a bit more personality and even more time and place goodness in NFL Street, which is kind of a crisis for me, because now I have to rethink my favorite games of all time if I'm admitting the NFL Street's better than NBA Street.
I mean, I always have my list ready. Anytime somebody's like, "Okay, what's your favorite game of all time?" I have a list. Okay, I have all top 10.
Yeah,
it changes every once in a while. Number 1 will change depending on the day.
Yeah,
some days it's Persona 5 Royal. Sometimes it's God of War. Depends on how I'm feeling at the moment. But yeah, NFL Street would probably be definitely in the top half for sure, top 20. But I'd rather play Madden 04.
Yeah, 04 is your year.
I think 04 for sure, mostly because you're not stopping Michael Vick and the Falcons. There's no stopping it.
It's always one of the cruelest things you can do to someone when you're kids and you want to play Madden together. And your friend Bailey is like, here, let's play Madden 04. I'm the Falcons. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's so cruel. One of the best like video game characters of all time.
Yes. Just overpowered for no reason. That or playing Tecmo Bowl and playing as the Raiders and only using one play. And it's give the ball to Bo Jackson and let him run.
Another unstoppable play. I always find it interesting to talk about specific Maddens because to everybody else, they're all the same. They do the same thing every year. You guys are crazy. But that era of Madden was really special.
It was. And PS2, GameCube, Xbox Madden games were the best that they could ever be, honestly.
Yeah. Personally, for me, I was always a really big Madden 06 person, which it totally blew my mind when it came out on Xbox 360, and I told my friend to get it. I was like, yeah, like it's great. And they made a totally different game on Xbox 360 that's total trash. You can only play exhibition mode. They get rid of all the other modes.
I heard about that. That sucks.
Yeah, but on PS2 and GameCube, that was the first year that they did the Superstar mode, and it was really cool back then. Yes. And like Terrell Davis was like your mentor, and they had this whole like people would make like fan art and like send it to you, and you could like go to the barbershop. If you got like a certain level of agent, you could go to like a practice facility. It was so interesting at the time, and it's so crazy how they're not anywhere near that like in modern Madden.
Yeah, I think 04 or Madden 08 were my two favorite ones for sure. Cuz 08 was the last one that came out on GameCube, but I remember one of the things during like franchise mode is that after like every week you'd get an actual radio show. I loved which
that.
Would come in like, man, playing any game and then having the radio show go on while you're looking at the front page of whatever
the newspaper. That was the other thing too. Yeah,
it's like, yo, this is awesome. Why the hell don't they
do this anymore? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy whatever's going on over there.
I'm hopeful that EA doesn't screw up college football whenever they revive that. But because people love college football too. I mean, I enjoy it. NCAA 14. I play it to this day. Yeah. It's like I want a good college football game, but I don't know if Madden
if there's gonna do it,
or I don't know if EA will. How far will EA stick their fingers into it, like in terms of Ultimate Team again? It's like, I don't want that. Just have a separate team and let them do college football.
Exactly.
Let them worry about it and don't mess with it.
Yeah, I feel like what we're gonna get is gonna be similar to Battlefront, to Star Wars Battlefront, where we're happy we have it back and it's pretty. And it feels pretty good, but in terms of features and everything, like it kind of stinks.
Bare bones, yeah.
Yeah, and that is one of like the frustrating things, being like a sports game, video game fan. I don't know why that sentence made my brain melt, but it's that so many of the fans are just sports fans and they don't understand a thing about game development. And you'll see on Twitter like when that got announced, and even now. People are expecting that game this year, and they're like, here's, Trevor Lawrence on the cover. And I'm like, nope, that's not going to happen. Like, this is like,
it's ongoing. It's like they have to figure out what's going on with the NCAA and people and players
getting paid
money off getting paid for
their likeness.
It's wondering like which teams are going to be actually signed to be featured on the game. It's actually building a team to actually make the game. It's
it's so complicated.
Making the games, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, like them being in a position where they think they can announce it is a good sign, but it's still so far away. And But I hope, I hope same thing. I hope they can do well with it. Apart from like that era, I always liked, apart from, the 04, 05, 06, 07 of Maddens, I always usually preferred NCAA. But we'll see. We'll see when it comes back.